Okay, here's how Miro works. See? It's amazing.
What's everyone doing at David's desk?
Ever since marketing started using Miro's collaborative online whiteboard, he thinks all our other teams should sign up.
Why?
He says Miro's making his meetings disappear. And if every team gets on it, that means even less meetings. They're using Miro for brainstorms, mind maps, customer research.
So could we use Miro instead of having another 100 meetings for every round of feedback?
Yep. You can comment, react to ideas, even leave a recording on the board.
And what about presentations?
There are Miro templates for that.
How do you know so much about Miro?
I've actually been using it all along. I just used a Miro board to plan the best vacation.
Okay, I'm on board.
See how Miro users save up to 80 hours every year by meeting less and doing more. Get on board at Miro.com with 3 boards free forever. That's MIRO.com.
This year, build your credit history with the Chime Secured Credit Builder Visa Credit Card. No credit checks to apply. Get started at Chime.com/build. The Chime Credit Builder Visa Credit Card is issued by Bancorp Bank N.A. or Stride Bank N.A. Members FDIC. Chime checking account and 200 qualifying direct deposit required to apply.
The Podcast Playground. Hooray!
Hey, celebrity jobbers, Jeff Zito. They're big stars, or they're quasi-famous, whether it's an actor or a musician. Have you ever thought about what those people might be doing if they never got their big break? Who knows? They might be selling insurance or working in the hospitality industry. Who knows? If that celebrity never got their big break, could end up just being some jobber. Our guest today, Rich Fields, former announcer for The Price is Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy who hosts the best podcast in audio history, Jeff Zito. Come on down.
Wow, that's amazing. Rich Fields, ladies and gentlemen.
How much did you pay that guy? Because that was really good.
It is. Do you ever get, obviously you get requests from people all the time to do that stuff on their phone.
Yeah.
Does it bother you?
No, not at all.
Well, the guy from Different Strokes are like, hey, say what you're talking about, Willis. And he would, you know what I mean? So
right. Sorry about that. I should have turned that phone off.
Oh, you're a busy guy. I understand, man. But it doesn't.
No, see, it never bothered me. I heard stories of Rod Roddy, my predecessor.
Right.
And he was probably sick already. He was probably not feeling well already. But I heard stories of him in airports for years. People would say, oh, my God, Rod Roddy, call me down. And he'd be like, no.
Really?
And when I heard I heard more than one. When I heard this, and I had just gotten the job at The Price is Right as Bob Barker's new announcer, I thought, you know what? I don't care how many years I'm off the show. I had just gotten the show, and I'm already thinking, I don't care how many years I'm off the show. You know, if somebody loves the show that much and recognizes me as being a piece of that, classic historic game show, I'm going to do it for them.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Well,
what does it take? It's air.
I get
Zito,
it.
it's air. All it is air coming out of our mouth.
There are those people, like you just mentioned, Rod Roddy, and the list goes on and on. Even bands that have like a really popular song, and they just refuse to play it anymore.
I don't get that.
I don't either.
I just don't get that. That was your bread and butter. You know what I mean?
And I understand if you were like at dinner with your wife and they're like, hey, come on down, come on, come on down, come on.
Yeah, that's annoying.
I get that. I understand that. But I would be honored.
But to that point, we had Christine and I, we were really good friends with Bob Barker, and we'd be out at dinner with Bob, say in Hollywood someplace, and he would never want to ask for a special table or anything. He just wanted to, sit wherever they sat him. And we'd be out in the middle of a dining room, and you'd see people come in and nudge, guy would nudge his wife. My God, this Bob Barker.
Yeah.
And then so people obviously recognize Bob, and there are people that would come up during dinner, just like you're saying, and say, Mr. Barker, and they'd be sweet.
Right.
Oh, hey, Mr. Barker. Oh my God, I've watched you forever. Blah blah blah. So they've already interrupted, right? So Bob, he's so gracious and such a old school gentleman. He would get up and go, well, it's a pleasure to meet you too. I thank you so much for your patronage of the show. Do you have a camera? Let's take a photograph together. Bob would suggest it, get it done so he could sit down.
And resume.
But these people would walk away with the encounter of a lifetime.
What a memory.
Right.
Absolutely. Wow, he's a real pro. He's a real pro. How many years on The Price is Right, Rich?
Bob or me?
You.
Let's see. I was there a better part of a decade. I was there 7 seasons.
Because you were right between Bob and Drew Carey. You did both
Well,
of them,
I did
right?
both. Right. I'm the only announcer to work with both hosts of Bob Barker and Drew Carey. I did 3 and plus seasons with Bob. See, seasons and years kind of overlap, so it's weird. Rod Roddy passed away October of season, was it 35?
Rod
32,
Roddy being
32.
the original announcer, correct?
Right, correct. Season 32. So they started auditions immediately after that, and I officially got the job. Would have been spring of 04. So I finished out season 32, and then my first full season would have been season 33. So from there on, and so I left in 2010. So 6+ years, yeah.
So a few
7.
Mostly with Bob Barker.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Couple years with Drew?
Bob, 3.
3 years.
Bob picked me. Bob handpicked me.
Really?
The decision came. I've heard from Roger Dobkowitz, the executive producer. I've had him on my own podcast, Come On Down with Rich Fields. And Roger said, you were handpicked by Bob Barker. He left all of the weeding out to us to get it down to the final couple of guys. And when the decision came in his office that day, there were other people in there touting other talent, saying, no, it should be this guy. And Bob was like, no, Rich Fields.
That's got to make you feel pretty good.
Make the call. And, yeah. Roger was thrilled because he got to make the phone call. It was
to tell you to come on down?
Yes.
Did he? And did he?
He did.
He did.
He didn't say come on down.
I
no.
thought that would have been great if he did.
But here I am. I'm a weatherman out in California. I'm the chief meteorologist at a station in Palm Springs, California, during this whole audition process to get the prices right. And I won't go through all of that, but I'll tell you about the night I got the call. I'm all mic'd up. I got my IFB in my ear. I'm getting ready to do one of those hits from the newsroom because we actually had weather in Palm Springs that day. There was a microburst, a downburst. It's like a dry tornado, really.
Usually in the desert, it's just hot or really hot.
Not much going on.
Gotcha.
And so I was going to lead the news that day. So I'm all mic'd up, ready to go. And the phone rings on my desk next to me, and it's that line, Zito, that it's either your wife or the boss.
Yeah, got it.
You know that line?
Oh, I sure do.
And I looked at it, and I looked up at the clock, and it was like 5 minutes to 6. I was getting ready for the 6 o'clock news. And I said, gee, should I pick this up? I said, okay. I said, hi, it's Rich. And it was my wife.
Okay.
And she said, Roger Dobkowitz, the producer of The Price is Right, just called the house. He needs to speak with you before 6 o'clock. He's leaving the house for the weekend. It was a Friday night. He's leaving the house for a trip for the weekend, and he wants you to call him right away. I said, oh, my God, it's like 4 minutes to 6.
First thing in your mind, I got the gig.
No, not at all. Not at all.
First thing in your mind,
quite the opposite.
You're getting sorry. You're not.
Sorry.
You're not the guy.
You did a great job.
Right.
Thank you. And so,
wow.
So I look up the clock. It's 4 minutes to 6, and I dial Roger Dobkowitz's home phone number. And hello, it's Roger. Roger has this very distinct vocal cadence and quality. So I'm not making fun of him. It's just the way he talks. He's fantastic. I said, Roger, Rich Fields. Hi, Rich. How are you? I said, I'm great. I look up the clock. 3 minutes, too. I'm trying to kind of hurry this conversation.
You got to be on the air.
If it's tell me and let me go.
Let's move on with our lives.
I got to work.
Yeah, let's not drag this out.
And he says, well, I just wanted to get in contact with you before the weekend and ask you, how would you like to be the announcer on The Price is Right? And I said, well, yeah, Roger, of course. That's why I'm going through the process. Right. He goes, no, I'm offering you the job.
Wow. And at that point, what was the feeling?
Have you ever fainted, Zito?
I have.
Oh, my God. Then you know exactly what I'm talking about. So I didn't fully faint, but here it goes. So he says that, I'm offering you the job. And all of a sudden,
Tingling.
my vision was starting to go black to this little tiny white hole. And I feel this dizziness come over me. I'm at a stand-up desk.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm standing up anyway, getting ready for my camera shot. And my knees buckled, and I caught myself with the phone in my hand,
Wow.
And I caught myself on the desk, and I damn near passed out. And I finally breathed. Okay?
Life-changing.
And all of a sudden, the little white hole of vision started to open up, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I came back. Another second, I'd have been on the floor.
Out. And you're getting a little emotional right now, even thinking back to that time. And
it was like hitting the lottery, dude.
Yes. Life-changing.
Life-changing.
Wow. Now let's
so many ways.
Man, you got such a great story, and that's why I wanted to have you do this. This podcast basically is about celebrities. Well, you got a Wikipedia page, Rich Fields. You're a celebrity.
Is that the classification if you have a Wikipedia page?
I think so.
Everybody's going to go out and open their own Wikipedia page.
I got no Wikipedia page. I don't even know how to do it.
But do I have no clue.
Somebody's doing it
Somebody's doing it, yeah.
But, I always find it interesting. The other day I was watching looking through social media, and it was Jeff Bezos eating a McDonald's cheeseburger saying something like, still the best fast food burger and my first job. And I was like, wow. Isn't that interesting? The richest man in the world, the first job he ever had was at McDonald's.
That's great.
What about you, Rich Fields? What was the first job you ever had?
Gig? Because my dad worked us as kids like dogs. Never got paid a dime, mowing the lawn and all that stuff, cleaning
Old
out the
school,
fireplace.
Man.
Yeah, sure. And so I guess paid gig, my first paid job would have been as a caddy.
Caddy at a golf course?
Yeah. Avon Oaks Country Club in Avon, Ohio.
Okay.
My two brothers had gone before me. They were a couple of years older than me, so they had each been caddies already, and I was like chomping at the bit like, Dad, I want to go caddy. And so when he thought we had to hitchhike to work. So when he thought I was old enough to hitchhike on my own, as insane as this sounds, folks, we would hitchhike 5 miles each way to and from home and work. And sometimes you'd get off the golf course and it would be dusk. It'd be dark. You'd be out there. And Zito, I started, how old would I have been? Summer of my 5th grade year.
Wow, you were just a kid.
Oh, absolute kid. I couldn't even carry the bag. I have back problems today, my sciatic on my left side, because of a particular round of golf and carrying a particular golf bag.
A Rodney Dangerfield bag.
To this day, yes. Mr. Scully, I'll never forget. It was the biggest Dunlop golf bag, heaviest bag, and I was what they called an S caddy. The lowest form of caddies.
Right.
Like I had just gotten.
You were cheap.
I had just gotten indoctrinated in. It was like my first loop, and I hurt myself so much so that Mr. Scully took the bag from me on the 4th hole and carried it the rest of the way. We were going to play 19 holes. He was going to play 19. He stopped after 9.
What did he tip you?
I don't remember. He did tip me. He'd not only paid me out whatever the flat rate was, $2.50, $3.
Must have felt bad for you.
This is mid-70s or whatever, Yeah, not even.
I mean, if I had to carry my own bag for 14 holes, listen, kid, I'd give maybe a couple bucks for the effort, but,
Yeah, I agree. I don't think I ever caddied for him again until I grew up.
Wow.
But I was a caddy at a golf course.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you know, not my first job, but I was an assistant golf pro at a golf course.
For real? And so you can play?
I can.
Oh,
yeah, I can. And I often think about...
Do you have a handicap?
Right now, I'd probably say I'm probably playing to about a 9, 10, 11.
No way. That's good. That's great, Zito.
I'd feel comfortable saying that.
I'm lucky if I can break 100 now.
Oh, we got to go play golf.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I love to go out there. But it's so funny. Sometimes I think about this, and I say, if I wasn't doing this right now, maybe I'd still be in the golf business.
I don't see why you can't anyway.
I don't want to. You got to deal.
Chuck this.
You're dealing with older folks in the customer service world.
Yeah.
Not my strengths,
Okay,
Rich.
gotcha. I see.
So he starts out as a caddy.
Yeah.
And that's just a part-time gig when you're a kid.
Summer.
Do you ever think back, though, to that job and say, that job taught me this? I use something I learned in that job that you relate to your life today.
Absolutely, Zito. I mean, a lot of stuff from one-on-one interactions with adults. Like you're saying, you have a hard time dealing with elderly people. Not that these folks were elderly, but, you learn yes, sir, no, sir, please. How can I help you? You learn customer service, and you don't even know you're learning it. And those kinds of skills will serve you your whole life. You know what I mean? But yes, politeness, service, the value of $1, how hard you have to work. 18 holes as an S caddy, the flat rate was $2.50.
$2.50. By the way, 18 holes of golf is a minimum of about 3 hours and 45 minutes if you're flying.
And not just carrying bags, you're tending pin, you're raking traps, you're replacing divots. I mean, you are their employee for 4 hours.
Wow.
Sweating your nuts off.
Yes. You are.
So, and it was a summer job because, up north and outside of Cleveland, it's really...
You ever get a bad chafe right around making the turn?
No, but you know what? I would sprain my ankle every single season out there, and I'd work the entire summer with a sprained ankle. I don't know why. I'd be coming down off of one of those...
Because your old man made you that way, right? He didn't make you soft. He's like, you get a sprained ankle, you go back to work.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how it was.
I mean, he wasn't cruel about it, but, hey,
right.
You got to work through it. How tees are elevated?
Yeah.
So sometimes in the early morning, the dew is out there. The dawn patrol, actually, we'd call the first foursome out. You'd see all their footprints. You'd see their putting lines in the dew because the greenskeepers haven't even been out to whip them dry yet, with those big whips they use to get the dew off the green. So every season I'd be as careful as I could. I'd always slip in tennis shoes down off an elevated tee in the dew in the early morning and twist my ankle, and I'd be like, damn, I did it again, son of a gun. It was always my left ankle for some reason.
Right.
So, just so many things, perseverance, politeness, just.
I find it so interesting. But obviously you didn't grow up to be a caddy, which is good news for you, your wife, your whole family, right?
Right.
So, okay, so let's start back from the beginning. You're a caddy.
Yeah.
You are from Ohio. Then you moved down to Florida.
Yeah. My parents were moving to Clearwater Beach, Florida. We used to come down to Clearwater for vacation most every year. My mom's mom lived down here. Because of mom and dad always vacationing, they told Grandma, if you're going to retire, you need to go down to Clearwater Beach, Florida. You know
where
what I
you
mean?
go.
Blah, blah, blah. So she ended up buying a house out there when they were dirt cheap, back in the 50s. And so we'd always come down 60s, 70s through, like every vacation Dad would have. And we'd always be driving across that bridge to Clearwater Beach, and you'd see Island Estates out there finally in the 70s when they built it. And he'd be like, look at that, kids. You see those houses out there? You see that? Someday you can be living over there. You put your nose to the grindstone, you save your money, and you could be living over there someday. And
you are.
I do. I live on Island Estate. Was that implanted in me?
Is that crazy?
I
think that's
programming.
I believe
right?
in that.
Program.
I believe in the
absolutely.
universe. I believe in putting it out there. I believe in the vision board. I think that's all real. You will yourself to get there.
Thanks for saying that, because Price is Right was absolutely a self-manifestation for me. I told everybody from day one, grade school, high school, college, I'm going to work with Bob Barker on The Price is Right. I mean, my mom used to have beta videotape of me standing in front of the television set in Avon, Ohio, with her black hairbrush, with The Price is Right on TV, and me going, come on down. How about a new car?
Wow.
So it was something I wanted to do my entire life.
So you move down to Florida, you go to college, and you go to the University of Florida, and your major is what? Communication?
Broadcasting.
Okay, so you knew right then and there you're going to be game show host? That was what you wanted to do?
Yes, absolutely. I wanted to have my own show someday. Well, I wanted to work with Bob Barker on The Price is Right. That was like the goal, but that
You're kidding me. It was actually The Price is Right?
Yes. I
just can't believe that.
Yes. And
you did. You willed your way into the job.
Yeah, I mean
that's why you fainted. That's why you had that feeling.
It was
everything.
It was
you
like
worked
winning
for
the lottery.
Your entire life just happened right there. All the hard work paid off.
made my dad. We were on vacation in a motorhome out west, and I made my dad take me to CBS Television City just to see the block, just to see where they taped The Price is Right. And, across the street they have what's the Grove now, but they also have the Farmer's Market. The Farmer's Market has been there forever. So we're really at Farmer's Market, eating chocolate, buying cookies, getting sandwiches, stuff like that. And then there's CBS over there. And I was like, Dad, that's it, man. That's
the mothership.
Someday. And he's like, we were looking. It was really the back end of CBS. And there was this one turnstile gate that you go through, and it's 6-8 foot tall, but it's all turnstiles. It's not like the kind you go through at the subway where it's just one.
Right.
It's the tall people kind
ones.
that have those bars through them, and so there's people putting their badges on a machine, and it's opening up, and at one at a time, these people are going back into the CBS lot. They had been over at Farmers Market for lunch. And Dad said, check it out. People are going through right now. Let's see if we can get in with them. And so I was like, what? How? Come on. And so it was probably about a block away. And so we start kind of hurriedly running because there was this line of people coming back into CBS after lunch. You go back to taping, Bold and the Beautiful, Young and the Restless, Price is Right are all in there.
Oh, my mom had those all in heavy rotation.
So by the time we get there, the last person has gone through the gate already. And I even said to Dad something like, God, what do we do now? We didn't get up there in time. And he said, well, he looked at this little card reader, and it had a button on it, and it said, push for service from the guard. So Dad pushed the button, and the guard came on from the guard shack, and he said, yes, can I help you? And Dad said, my badge isn't working. Can you buzz us through? And Dad grabbed me from behind him, shoved me in the gate, in the turnstile thing, because it only took one person. It wouldn't fit two people purposely. I mean, you could only get one person through at a time. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
He pushed me into the turnstile thing, and I turned it and got in. Now Dad's outside the gate.
Oh, man.
He pushed it again. And said, the guard said, yes. And Dad said, I'm sorry, I didn't get through in time.
Buzzed him in.
It happened again,
wow.
And we got through the gate, and we walked right up the back ramp of CBS where these mammoth elephant doors are. They're probably 30 feet high and 20 feet wide, massive. You could pull trucks
Rich,
through
you
them.
broke into the Price is Right.
We literally broke into the Price is Right. So just quick, to put a button on this, we're walking around backstage of the Price is Right, and it happens to be show day, and all the prizes are out there. All the things where the models flip down the reveal to show you what the prices are. All the prices are loaded, everything. And I'm with Dad, and I'm looking at stuff, the refrigerators, $8.99, and this is that. And from down the hall, we hear, hey, who are you? And this guy comes up, and he turns out to be a standards and practices guy. Who keeps everything on the up and up with game shows.
Okay.
You know what I mean? They're like the cops of game shows in California, standards and practices. And he comes up and he says to my dad, who are you? Because he sees this young kid, well, I was 18, not that young, but no lanyards, no passes, no badge on, no to get in. He knew.
You got no ID.
No ID, no nothing. Who are you? And Dad said, oh, that's all right. I'm just showing my son around.
Right.
Because Dad always knew, man, if you pretend like you're somebody.
Act like you've been there before.
And they will not. Well, this guy didn't bite. And he was like, I need to know how you got in here, how you got backstage, and why you're looking at the prices of this show.
Nervous at this point?
He gets on a walkie-talkie and he says, I need somebody from production backstage right now.
Wow.
And I didn't know the lady's name at the time, but this woman comes up with a clipboard and a walkie-talkie, and she's like, who are you people? And the guy says, how the heck did they get in here? And so my dad says, oh, we came through the back gate. We buzzed the guard, and he let us in.
Oh,
and
man.
so now it's on him.
Now somebody's getting their ass chewed.
And the guy from Standards and Practices says, you need to change out all of these prizes before the show starts.
Oh.
And Kathy was like, we can't.
You just saw how much the rice-a-roni was.
179. We are
for like 20 years, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, never changed.
The Netflix
I saw it.
movie.
It's great. You're on it.
The Perfect Bid, yeah.
You're on it, by the way.
I lived it. I was there.
But it was a documentary, so how much you get paid on that?
None, because it's considered a news program. Young filmmakers, if you don't want to pay residuals or pay for anything, call your program a news program, and you do not have to pay anyone for an appearance fee or anything.
Wow.
You can use tape from
What's
anywhere.
this costing me today, Rich?
$150,000.
All right. Well, we're going to have to wrap this thing up then. No, I'm just kidding. So let's go back to college.
Yeah.
Broadcasting. Major, you get out of college. What's your first gig out of college?
I was already doing radio in college. My freshman year, the first thing I did was auditioned for the college radio stations up at the University of Florida. And there was a massive line for this audition my first semester up there. And I thought, the word down the line was there was 2 openings. And this line must have been 100 people long. And there were seniors and juniors been trying to get in since they were freshmen. And to make a long story short there, I get in, I do my audition, and I I get a call back, and I was one of the 2 people they selected that year, and I worked at WRUF Rock.
WRUF
Rock 104.
is a legendary college radio station at the University of Florida. Harry Guscott, program director.
Harry Guscott. He's the one I auditioned for. He's the one that gave me the job.
I just
love
retired
Harry.
maybe a couple of years
Harry.
ago.
Yes, exactly right. Love Harry. Hello, Harry. How you doing, brother? And so I worked there my entire time. So getting out of college, the natural, I was going to try to work my way across the country to get to California, to get to a Los Angeles radio station, so I could be out there to audition to get
This is incredible. So you can be on The Price is Right. You're going to do a radio gig across the country until you get to Los Angeles and get to your ultimate dream.
Yes. So
unbelievable.
Out of college, my first job got me to the Rockies, just outside of Denver. I hit
nice
the Rockies,
area.
and I thought, okay, one more jump, I'll be over the Rockies in L.A. You know what I mean? So right out of college, I was working for a radio station outside.
So
of Denver.
radio up until how old were you when you? What did you do through the 2000s? Because I know that you did go back to college early 2000s to become a weatherman.
Meteorologist. Yeah, well, I found out, and once I got to California doing radio, I mean, I did great. I worked for CBS Radio in L.A. for over a decade, almost 11 years, through like 5 different incarnations, 5 format changes, and 5 different program directors. I was one of the few. I was like the only. I started there when it was KKHR, Hit Radio 93, KKHR. You know, we were Kiss FM's biggest competitor, and so it was a hot hits. You know, that's music station, which is what I liked. You know,
right.
I was young and this is great. But you know, as I stayed there through the years, it ended up becoming KNX FM, Mellow Rock for Southern California. I mean, I almost wanted to blow my brains out. I mean, the music was great, but the delivery, you know, you got to do this. And it just became so many different things over the years. Oldies, KODJ, Oldies 93, CBS FM, Oldies. So I just happened to hang on to a gig there for over 11 years. But it wasn't happening. I wasn't getting the auditions I wanted that were getting me toward game shows or toward The Price is Right or toward Bob Barker. You know what I mean? And
were you always interested in weather? Was that something that fascinated you? Or
yes.
Were you like, I can make some bucks in this?
Well, 2 things. Yes, I'm always interested in weather. My dad made me a home weather station when I was just a kid because I was fascinated with it. And but yes, and so doing radio and not getting the gigs I wanted, I had heard about Pat Sajak being a weatherman at NBC out in L.A. And he got plucked to do Wheel of Fortune. I heard about David Letterman being a weatherman up in Indiana or someplace.
Man, this is all coming together.
So I said to myself, I need to get a weather background. I'm going to come back out to California as a weatherman. I'm going to get seen so that in these auditions, or I'll be invited to auditions more of the high.
They know who you are.
Right, exactly. And so I got fired. As all this thinking is going on, I finally get let go at CBS Los Angeles Radio.
Okay.
Because they were going to Jack FM, and they didn't have jocks. It was all VO. It was the jock. It was the jock guy. Yeah, they started it. It's the killing of radio personalities. And so I got let go. And right here at the very facility that we're recording from was an oldies station, and a friend of mine sent me a notice that, hey, did you see that a station back in your hometown, Tampa, Florida, is looking for a morning man? And I said, I did not. You know, let me see that. And so I saw this listing, and I applied to it, and they invited me to Houston, to their national headquarters, to meet them. You know, they'd already heard tapes, and I mean, I was a Los Angeles disc jockey for over a decade. So I mean, it was it's kind of a big deal. Yeah, I mean, I was polished and ready to go. I mean, they didn't have to teach me much of anything.
Right. You know? It's not like they got you from Albuquerque.
Right. You're willing to come from Los Angeles back to Tampa? And I was like, absolutely. It's my hometown. I love it, you know. And so I got hired to do mornings and came back here to Tampa. And I thought, okay, I got a secure job. This is the time I'm going to go back to school and get some meteorology credentials and become a weatherman and then start applying to get back out to California.
You become a weatherman. You get the call. Did you go straight from weatherman? Did it happen exactly how you envisioned it? You get a gig as a weatherman in Palm Springs. Phone call happens from the guy from The Price is Right. Gives you the job. You faint. Is that really how it went?
There's details in between there, but that's exactly how it went.
Unbelievable, man. Yeah. Unbelievable. I really do believe that. You know, when people say this and you're always rolling your eyes like, if you could do anything you want to do.
I know.
It is. You can kind of roll your eyes and be like, okay.
Right, sure.
But I really believe it. And when they say, like, if you try as hard as you can, you work hard at it. Yeah, maybe with sports, there's a little God-given talent that you have to be, physically, but
Sure.
I hear of guys overcoming that stuff all the time. But your story is incredible. So now you're on The Price is Right. Was it a wild time? Was it, describe like when the lights were off or when the cameras were off. Was it a crazy environment? You know how
exciting.
Radio is.
So exciting.
Exciting.
I mean, it's electrifying. Actually, I would call it. Even after 7 seasons there. The last day of my warm up, I didn't know it was going to be my last day, but my last day of going out and doing a show was still electric to me. I mean, yeah, when the music starts, I have to go out and do 15 minutes of warm up every day before a show. So, sort of a comedic.
So you're kind of warming up the crowd.
Yeah, exactly.
Getting ready.
And as I do this, comedic warm up, you're dispensing little bits of information to them about the show and what to do and how to act during the show. Don't jump on Bob. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't wear a sweater. Put your name tag on the outside so Bob can read everybody's name. Don't wear a jacket. If you do, make sure it's on the outside. Just all these little things. But so I would be up in my dressing room and I'd hear the music start. And immediately I'd throw my jacket on and I'd get that feeling, that adrenaline hit again. And I'd be standing in the wings, waiting for, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the announcer. The Price is Right, Rich Fields. And the crowd they're waiting for anything to happen.
Right.
Jeff Zito could have walked out there at that point and they'd have screamed bloody murder.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying? So they're just rabid for this show to start. And oh my God, now something's happening. The lights have gone down. The music started. Somebody said, here he comes. I come out, the microphone, the lights are on,
wow.
They're flashing, music's playing, I'm calling people up to dance. Who wants to dance with me on the Price is Right stage? Oh my God, the whole audience is standing up, raising their, Mary, Jim, John, you keep going to, and now you got 6-8 people up there dancing to Disco Inferno by the Tramps, on stage at the Price is Right with disco lights going. I mean, it's electrifying.
Now the show's over. Mm-hmm. Do you guys hang out? Do you guys go have a drink?
Oh, yes.
Do you go bowling?
All of that.
What do you do when the show's over for the day?
Well,
any craziness?
Well, we taped 3 days a week.
Okay.
We taped Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We had Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday off every single week. So we taped 3 days a week. We would tape 3 weeks on, 1 week off. 3 weeks on, 1 week off. The entire taping season. We would have summers off completely for hiatus, and they'd run reruns then. So Monday, Tuesday of a taping week. We do 2 shows a day, by the way, on those 3 days. We do 2 shows a day. So Monday and Tuesday, we'd shoot our 2 shows. I would generally go home, have dinner with Christine, a regular kind of normal person life.
Right.
On Wednesday, the last taping day of a cycle, of a week, we'd shoot our 2 shows, and we would all go next door to Wood Ranch or Maggiano's, and we would just invade the bar and absolutely drink the entire crew, cameramen, grips,
really?
Prop guys, models, me, my wife Christine. I mean, we'd all just blow it out. I mean, we would.
I mean, Bob show up to have a couple cocktails?
Not with us. Bob would always come when we had a scheduled party of some kind of rap party, certainly at one of those places over there, because it was so close to CBS. It was so easy just to walk right next door.
What was Bob's drink of choice? You remember?
Well, when I met Bob Barker, it was red wine. Well, any kind of wine, really, but red wine. He loved red wine.
Okay.
And he said to me one night out, I had ordered a shot of Patron on the rocks with a piece of lemon.
Right.
And he thought that was curious. He said, tequila. And I asked for a little straw. I asked for a sipping straw.
Right.
That they usually don't give you with a shot. You know what I mean? Or even if it's on the rocks. Not that you're going to pound it. But
right. They don't know you, Rich Fields.
Maybe the first one. But so he said, what do you have there? I said, it's Patron Silver, Bob. It's the cleanest tequila you can possibly get. I had to cut out drinking any kind of beer with the hops and the barley. I mean, I was getting a gut, and and so the tequila, you like that, huh? And I said, yeah. I said, you want to try it? He hadn't taken a sip of his wine yet. I said, do you want to try it? And he said, no, I don't want to get yours. I said, bartender, would you get Mr. Barker, please, a shot of Patron Silver on the rocks and a straw? And he said, why lemon, Bob? I said, well, I just prefer it over lime. It just makes the tequila sweeter. So for some reason, lemon
just like
makes it sweeter.
Perfect combination.
Or
man.
even I've tried orange. Orange is also good with silver tequila.
Just kind of kills the
right.
Takes the edge off.
So Bob Bob takes a sip of this silver tequila, and he was like, wow, there is like really no taste. It's just so smooth. Actually, he said that went down to, Rich, that went down too quick. I mean, he has a particular patter about his speech, so I just wanted to do it like Bob did. And I said, yeah, it's good, Bob, it's good. And so he had some kind of occasion come up, might have been a birthday or whatever. So I bought him a bottle of Patron Silver, and I had given it to him as this gift. And he took it home. And the next day he came in. Bob knocked on my dressing room door. I said, come on in. And it was Bob. And he come in and he closed the door behind him. Usually he'd hang onto the door and kind of stand there if he wanted to talk to me. But he came in, he closed the door, and he said, Rich, last night I poured a shot of that silver tequila, and I sat there and sipped it while I watched TV. I want you to know you have changed me.
Wow.
And Bob Barker changed to silver tequila.
That's crazy.
As far as I know, maybe when he was on a date with his girlfriend, he might have gotten wine again. But I know I told Billy Bush this story at a homeless feeding for Thanksgiving down on Skid Row once. And unbeknownst to me, Billy went and bought Bob a bottle of Grand Patron.
Okay.
And came to Bob's house as a gift and gave it to him. So he kind of outdid me with the level of Patron.
Freaking one-upper.
And Bob mentioned that one day to the audience during a show when Billy Bush had come to visit.
Right.
He said, "Oh, it's Billy Bush from, was it Extra?" He was,
one of those.
It's Billy Bush. Stand up, Billy. And everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's Billy Bush." You know what I mean? And he said, "I want you to know that Billy, for the last 2 years on my birthday, has always sent me a bottle of Grand Patron." And I looked at Billy, because I had no idea he trumped me. Like I was like, "Oh my God, you SOB." So, but anyway, Bob changed. Yeah, I changed Bob to a tequila drinker.
That is pretty crazy. You mentioned Bob and his quote unquote girlfriend. So Bob's a bachelor. Is any of the lovely ladies on The Price is Right? Did Bob ever date any of those girls? Or
the only one I know of for sure that he dated, because it's public knowledge, was Diane Parkinson's.
Oh, wow.
Parkinson.
Sorry. I remember her and Janice, was it?
Janice, yes.
Back from the... those two. I liked both of those. So him and Diane
they were smoking. It's why I watched The Price is Right.
Yeah, man.
High heels and short skirts. Man, come on.
So that was public knowledge that Bob dated Diane.
Yes.
How long? For a lot of years?
I'd have to look in Wikipedia and find out. I'm not sure, but
that's amazing.
I do know they dated, and then for one reason or another, it broke off.
Hey, man, it's showbiz. That's the way it goes, baby.
But no, his regular girlfriend, I believe, has been the head of the foundation that he runs, the DJ&T Foundation for
Is that the dogs and neutered and
right. Any kind of animal. He will donate to saving and rescuing any kind of elephants was his big thing. He was buying elephants from zoos.
Wow.
And making them sign a contract saying, "Look, I'll buy this elephant for X amount of dollars." No, on the auspices that you'll never get another one in this zoo again.
Oh, okay.
And then he releases them. I believe it's in Wyoming.
Interesting.
There's a range that takes care of large animals that they can put out. An elephant needs something like 3 acres. To roam before it goes stir crazy. And that doesn't mean you can put 3 elephants in 3 acres. No, because now they're in their head, the space
just shrunk.
Every elephant you add, you have to have another 3 acres.
Like a fish tank,
or they literally go crazy.
Wow.
And they attack, and they, they want to cause trouble and harm, and they feel confined and they want out.
Wow.
So there's this place, I believe it's Wyoming, that he gives them all to, and these people take care of them.
Just an animal lover. I mean, for as long as I've ever watched The Price is Right.
Absolutely.
And, get your pets spayed and neutered. Yeah. I mean, unbelievable.
Dogs, cats, he's had them both. Rabbits. He loves his rabbits.
Wow.
Yeah, in his house.
What's the difference in the culture when Bob retired and then now you got Drew Carey coming in? Because Bob, let's say, older gentleman, maybe, I don't know him, but, Drew Carey, he had a reputation. He was a comedian. He was known to have a good time. So what was the culture like when Bob retired, Drew comes in? Was it cool? Was it still cool? Were people excited?
I think everyone was excited. Number one, everyone was excited that the show was going to continue.
Okay.
Lot thought that when Bob left, this could be the end. You know what I mean? What is CBS and Fremantle going to do? They're going to pause a while. They're going to wait. They're going to, they're going to look for somebody that's going to fill Bob's shoes. How could that possibly happen? But when they announced Drew Carey as the host, number one, I was excited. He was a Cleveland guy. That's where I'm from.
Yeah, okay.
We're only a year apart. I mean, a lot of our childhood experiences are identical.
Did you guys hit it off?
Immediately. So you ask about the culture. It was cool. It was a lot looser. I mean, Mr. Barker.
How so looser? What do you mean?
Mr. Barker's, he's old school gentleman,
Yeah, okay.
and you wanted to treat him that way, and you wanted the surroundings to be that way. You know what I mean? Not that he insisted on it, but there was just a certain decorum about the place. There were no F-bombs, no GDs, no, that kind of thing. Not that when Drew came in, F-bombs and GDs are flying. I'm just saying it was just a looser atmosphere.
I gotcha. And you guys hit it off because you're from the same place.
We were thick as thieves.
And still to this day, Price is Right is going on. Drew Carey, the host. Bob Barker, how is he? I know he's getting older, and
Indeed, he's going to be 99 on December 12th of
Have you
this
talked
year.
to him at all?
The last time I spoke with Bob was 2 studios down at Q105 Radio here in Tampa, Florida. When I called him on the air to wish him a happy birthday, that would have been his birthday, December 12th of 2019.
Oh, okay, just a few years ago. Okay,
and I'm
how
not,
do you sound?
I'm glad you asked because I don't want to tell this story and make it sad or anything, but it was my first inkling that things had changed for Bob physically and mentally because. So you know how we do things here in radio. We call people. We start recording.
Yeah.
We say, hey, I want to record you for the radio. Get their permission, all that stuff. So I'm not on the air. I'm recording, and I'm talking through the mic, you're talking through right now, and the phone's ringing, and he picks up, hello, and I said, hi, Bob, it's Rich Fields, your announcer from The Price is Right. Oh, I know you. Hi, Rich, how are you?
Well, he is 95, so it might have taken an extra half a second for it all to come back.
But
that got
the words,
you. Did that kind of affect you a little bit?
The words.
Oh, I remember you.
I know you.
Yeah. Of course you know me. I bought you bottles of Patron.
Made me think.
Yeah.
Made me think, gee, maybe there's people he doesn't remember now in life.
Well, 95, it's just kind of the way it works.
But, but he had a bad fall, and it was in the news. Was it 2019?
Same time you talked to him?
2020, right around there.
Okay, right around COVID,
He had a really
maybe.
bad fall outside his home walking his dog, and he's always had bad back problems. He told me it was from a guest, a Samoan woman, very large woman, who was so excited she had won or gotten up on stage.
On the show.
She picked him up by the waist and literally jackhammered him up and down, jumping up and down.
And that's why he has a bad back, because of that guest.
This is what he told me.
Wow.
That's where it started.
Wow.
But many guests have accosted him, and he's hurt himself a few times on the show doing things.
He's a small guy, isn't he?
No,
slender?
He's slender, yes. 6'1".
Oh, okay.
I mean, with age, he's probably down to, 5'11",
shrinking a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
A martial artist, worked out with Chuck Norris. That was his coach and workout partner, Chuck Norris.
Iconic scene in Happy Gilmore. He curses.
That was his chance to show a younger audience that, hey, I'm hip.
I'm hip, baby.
Because he kind of is. Outside of The Price is Right and his decorum, I'm not saying he gets lewd or lascivious, but he can get kind of blue with his storytelling and stuff like that. I mean, he's a trip, dude.
That's hilarious.
Bob telling a story is like, man, you wish you had a tape recorder.
His full, or he got his full attention.
The most interesting stories.
Or he's got your full attention.
Yeah, exactly.
I should say.
Totally.
What about Drew Carey? When's the last time you spoke to Drew? Do you maintain a relationship with him?
I don't. I recently wrote him an email to invite him on the podcast, but we had a little bit of a falling out during my leaving of The Price is Right. I don't want to get into the whole dealio.
But a little of it.
We know about Mike Richards, the guy from Jeopardy and Wheel. He was the executive producer of both, named himself the new host, had some troubles there, got fired.
Okay.
He was the new executive producer of The Price is Right when they brought Drew Carey in.
Okay.
So he came in and he kind of cleaned house of anybody that worked with Bob Barker, including me.
You and Drew became very close, though. Like you went on vacations together.
Yeah. Oh God, yes.
And he was using your brain because you were the bridge between Bob Barker and himself. He was learning The Price is Right from you.
Yeah. I can remember a time, one of our first little vacations was Drew was just learning the show. We had just done rehearsals with Drew. He'd already gotten the job. I just mean we're in Drew's learning games. And Drew, I came down from, we had just started taping the first week of shows. And so the games on those first couple of shows were games that for a week or so, we were at CBS practicing with Drew. And so we now taped our first day of shows, or we taped our first show, and I was coming down the stairs to do the second show, coming down from my dressing room. And Drew stopped me at the bottom of the stairs. He said, "Hey, man," everything starts with "Hey, man," with Drew. "Hey, man, you want to go to Vegas tonight?" And I wasn't going to say no. I didn't even know what plans Christine had or what we had to do. And I said, "Yeah, sure." And he says, "Good, I got a jet. Call Christine, see if she wants to go. One thing here about the jet. You got to get there yourself tonight. I can bring you home on the jet, but it's full. I'm taking my niece and all her girlfriends for my niece's 21st birthday to Vegas. So I can take you there. I mean, I can't take you there, but I can bring you both home because there'll be seats left because a couple are moving on from Vegas going someplace else. But if you can get there tonight, man, I'll set you up. We'll, room the whole 9 yards. We'll have, a great time gambling and eating, and I'll bring you home on the jet to Van Nuys Airport." And so I called Christine. I said, "Hey, we're going to Vegas with Drew." "What?" I said, "Pack something up and
get ready
and get on the phone.
Get over here.
Get on the phone. I'm heading out on stage. Get on the phone. Get us a flight to Vegas tonight. One way. I said, "Yeah, Drew's going to bring us back on a private jet. So just one way. Get us to Vegas and pack a bag. I'll talk to you when the show's done." It was that quick. So it was this trip that Drew says to me, we get in Vegas and we're gambling. And he's like, "Hey, man, tomorrow, meet me out at the pool. I got the biggest cabana they have out there. They got like 20 cabanas, and I got the Mac Daddy one, and it's going to be all set up with food and drinks and everything." I said, "Well, who's going to be there?" No, it's just us, just me and you and Christine." I was like, "Oh, okay." He said, "Yeah, I'll be out there like from 11:30 on, man. Just look for the biggest one. I'll be out there." I said,
"And
okay."
He's not married, right? He's a bachelor.
Yeah. And not that that's what he was there doing or looking.
I got you.
But so we get down there to the pool, and we're all pooled out. You know what I mean? We got our trunks on, and our floaty or whatever.
You got your leopard skin Speedo on, Rich.
Flip flops, and so we go to this beautiful cabana with Drew. I'm like, oh my God, and there's waiters and everything. You know what I mean? And he said, "Yeah, sit down, man. Make yourself comfortable. Christine, here. Use these chairs over here. They got these little mini air conditioners blowing on the couch, and they're really nice. And eat what you want. There's wings. There's this. There's that. And he's there with his laptop open, and he's got DVDs in there, and he's watching the new games that we're going to be taping, playing, coming up on The Price is Right. And he's literally learning the games. And he said something to me. I forget what it was, but he asked some question about a game. And that kind of just opened the door for him to ask more questions.
Got it.
And so as these DVDs are playing, he's saying, what about this? Or how about that? Or what if the contestant does this? Or how do you reconcile when they've made a mistake and do this? You know what I mean? Just all these little intricate things of playing a game. And he said to me, I know you were there for Barker. And what did you take away from him, host-wise?
Yeah.
I know you're a student and study, and you tried to absorb everything you could from Bob. What's the gem? What's the key thing here about this show? I said, the key thing is that Bob always understood and used the fact that there are 3 audiences on this show, Drew. 3 audiences. I said, yeah. So you're up there on stage, and you got the contestant, you got your arm around him, and you've looked at their name tag, and this is Zito from Tampa, Florida,
right?
And so that's one audience right there. You're playing to him, obviously, and you're playing a game with him and instructing him and helping him through the thing, and you want him to win. So that's one audience.
Okay.
The second audience is that live audience out in front of you.
Right.
You need to play to them every once in a while. Your attention needs to go from Zito to, what do you guys think out there?
Right.
The camera takes a shot of the crazy wild audience. And I said, there's a third audience.
Yeah.
Third audience.
The people in TV land.
The TV camera. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, and then it clicked.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So you bounce from Zito with your arm around him to the folks at home. I know you're watching this. And what about here in the audience? What do you think? So Bob would play this bang, 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 3-audience thing, and it was key to any host position if you have a live audience. Key to any host position. Even if there was no live audience, I would tell an up-and-coming host, play to your contestant and then talk to the people at home. Don't just let the people at home listen in and watch in. Address them, point to the camera and say, I know you at home. I mean, make sure they know you're talking to them.
So now everything is over. I mean, it seems like you and Drew were pretty tight. Mm-hmm. You wrote him an email. You're just trying to maybe touch base with him, bring it all back together. It's been a while, and maybe you just want to have a conversation with him and wrap this whole thing up.
Yeah, I mean,
that's cool because I'm the same way. You know, I would do the same thing. After a little bit of time and I'm starting to think about it, and it was like, okay, whatever it is.
It is what it is.
Life's too short, and I want to just kind of...
Yeah, I just wanted him to know. Zito, he tried. At the end there, even after the Les Moonves conversation, he tried with me. He still invited Christine and I to some stuff. I mean, he was going to blow snow in the city of Burbank one day.
Blowing snow in your Drew Carey, that's a party.
No. Never while I knew him.
Okay.
Never, not once. Did I ever see that? Did he? We had actually been backstage with rock groups, and it was going on, and Drew purposely would walk out of the room and say to me, hey, dude, come on.
Gotcha.
No, you know, he was very protective that way, certainly for the franchise, certainly for his reputation.
Right. He had a reputation before The Price is Right as being that guy.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So I forget where we were, but
you kind of want to bring it back.
So I wrote in this email, and what I wanted him to know was that, look, I harbor no ill will against him. Never did. I understood the position he was in as a new guy there. Not wanting to tick off the production company Fremantle Media or CBS or any, you know, he had production offices at CBS Television City. I mean, so he was in good with both companies and probably hoping to produce something with them for them at some point and getting it on and so on and so forth. So I understood where he was at and not wanting to making that call to the president of a network.
Yeah.
That's a big
it's a
jump,
big deal,
man.
I get it.
And my agent only did it because he happened to know Les Moonves.
Was buddies with him.
Yeah, there was a. I believe it was golf. I believe.
I hope he does answer your email, or I think he will. I think because I think people alike. I think maybe he hasn't reached it yet, but you have, and I've reached it at some points with people in my life where it's just like, hey, man, you know, I just want to reach out, and I think he'll be there at one point. And I hope he does because I think it's important to you.
I hope he does. But I told him, and I honestly feel this way. I told him, look, do not feel obligated to answer this. Okay. That's not why I wrote the letter.
Right.
I just want you to know. You know, I harbor no ill will.
I hope he does, and I think he will. You're incredible, Rich Fields, and usually
this was fun, man.
By the way, Rich Fields' podcast, you want to hear more about The Price is Right and all the crazy shenanigans that used to go down. And, I bet he could tell you stories about Holly. That was another one of my faves.
Oh, she's a doll, man.
It's Come On Down with Rich Fields.
Yeah.
And you can find that. You do it live?
We do it live on YouTube, on the 10 Tampa Bay YouTube page. Just go to YouTube, type in the number 10 Tampa Bay. To watch the live video version is great because...
Well, Rich is very handsome.
We show pictures. Thank you, Zito. I appreciate that. Wood Ranch next door. We show photographs, everything we're talking about. We show photos of the gate I was telling you about with the turnstile.
Right.
I've got photos of that. I mean,
wow.
so it just fills in every niche. We show videos of particular shows we're talking about where if you listen on Spotify or Odyssey or Apple Music, any of your podcast providers, it's on all of them.
But the video, that brings it all together.
Gold, man.
Man, if this was on video, I'd have my shirt off right now.
Flexing
and
your pecs.
You'd be eating cheese off of my chest.
He can flex them, ladies and gentlemen, one at a time. It's wild.
Man, I'm telling you, I would wrap this up by saying, if it wasn't for your big break with The Price is Right, what would you be doing today? Would you be like what we call a jobber? Would you just be some friggin'? I would say you would be a weatherman, though.
Well, yeah,
or a radio host,
maybe. Right, radio. My dad, if I didn't have the inclination from a kid to be in game shows or Hollywood, my dad wanted all us boys to go to military academies, and my brother Dave, the oldest one, went to the Air Force Academy. My brother Mike, the next one, went to the Merchant Marine Academy. I had an appointment to Annapolis. I had 2 appointments to Annapolis from 2 different senators. I had already been to MacDill Air Force Base, right next to us, from where we're talking. I had already been over there for my military physical. I was on my way. They pulled my molars out. First thing they do in the military, I don't know, at least back then, was they pull your back teeth out because apparently they go bad first out in the field, and it costs them so much time and money. They need bodies out there, blah, blah, blah. So I had already had all that extractions done and everything, and I was maybe a week away from getting on the bus to go to the United States Naval Academy. And I was fighting tooth and nail the whole time. I don't want to go to military academy. I don't want to go. And my dad's whole thing was, I don't have the money to pay for your college. You need to go to an academy so it's free and paid for. And then you do your military service. I don't care what you do after that. So my 2 brothers fell in line, and my whole life I was like, no, I just wanted to be in entertainment and that. And here I am a week away from getting on. And I'm still fighting with my dad about it. And finally, Clearwater Beach, we're at our house in Clearwater Beach, Bay Esplanade, the street, and it was at dinner table, and he threw his fork down on the table, and he said, fine, if you want to go someplace else, then you're going to have to find the money to pay for it. And so dinner's over, and I sat down with my mom. I said, Mom, how do I get this done? And there's no internet at the time. This is 1979. And she says, well, let me start looking around and talking to people. I've heard that, there's loans, student loans. Let me look into that. Let me see what that entails, what that costs, what the repayment is, blah, blah, blah. And to make a long story short, within a couple of days, Mom had, and by the way, I had already applied to the University of Florida and got accepted, unbeknownst to my dad.
Wow.
And I applied to the University of Florida because they had 3 radio stations and a television station. And other than like Syracuse and a couple of the handful of colleges around the country, it was the biggest broadcasting university in the country at the time, University of Florida. Probably still is. And I said, here it is in Florida. This is where I'm going, man. And so Mom figured out all the money thing for me to get a student loan, so on and so forth. And I went to Dad and I said, I got a student loan, and I'm going to go to the University of Florida, and I'm going to study broadcasting, and I'm going to Hollywood. And he was like, fine. All right.
Backup.
Let's see what happens.
No backup plan.
No. For me, no. That was it.
You never said to yourself, if this doesn't work out, because you had to see that it was, it was quite a reach. I mean, this is not an easy thing to do.
No.
So you had no backup plan. This is what you were doing.
Dad was like, be realistic. How many people do you think are going to make it out there?
Right. One. There's one guy.
And what do you want to do? You want to be the announcer on The Price is Right?
It's incredible.
There was one guy, Johnny Olson. Then he passed away. Then they have a guy, Rod Roddy. He's there now.
And now that's over the course of 30 or 40 years.
Right. How do you think you're going to?
Incredible, man.
It wasn't my idea. I'm a firm believer of that.
Incredible.
This idea was put in my head, and I just acted on it. Focus. You know what I mean? Everything I did, every job I got, even if I went backwards and came back to Florida, I always knew what the next step was going to be to get back to California, to get to The Price is Right. Everything I ever did was, how's this going to get me to The Price is Right?
Very cool. Unbelievable. Rich Fields.
Oh, the crowd goes wild.
Say it one more time.
Come on down.
There it is, Rich Fields.
Here's another crowd pleaser. How about this?
Go ahead.
How about a new car? All right, Zito, you're great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Don't forget, it's Come On Down with Rich Fields, and check this guy out. I love you
brother.
so much, man.
I
You're a
love you
great
too.
guy.
I'm happy to have been on, and I'm honored to be the first one on your very new podcast. I'm so thrilled.
Thank you so much. Rich Fields, ladies and gentlemen, and I guess we'll see you next time here on Celebrity Jobbers. I'm Jeff Zito.
The Podcast Playground.